Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we are talking about razors, and I know this seems like a really odd topic, but when you think about traveling and the conveniences of life and everything that comes with cramming it all into a little suitcase, in my mind, every little aspect counts. One thing that I've been thinking about lately is different ways that I can optimize my packing situation. And if you've been watching some of the past videos, you know that moving forward, Ben and I are only going to be traveling in carry-on size suitcases. Now, this doesn't always necessarily mean we're going to be carrying them on the plane with us. Sometimes we'll still be checking them. But in terms of weight and size, I still want to be able to minimize as much as possible. So today I am looking at the optimal razor to take with me. And I know that seems kind of trivial, and that's okay. But for me, that's important because I want to know that when I'm on the road for a long period of time, I have a product I trust and I love, and I'm not annoyed every time I go to use it. So today we're testing out 3 different razors. One is one that I've used for a very long time, and 2 of them are brand new to me. So let's go ahead and just jump into the details of the test. Guys, it has been 2 weeks since I've shaved. At least it was at the beginning of this trial. I've now been using each of these razors for a couple of weeks now, on and off, just switching back and forth between each of them. And I feel like I have a pretty good idea of which ones I like best, but there are a number of things that I'm looking for in each one. So let's go over that. First of all is the obvious. How well does it actually work as a razor? Now, when I talk about that, I'm thinking more in particular on, can I get a full row done in one full swipe? And I don't have to go back and keep going over it over and over again because the razor's giving me a patchy shave. It's getting a nice close shave. So I'm looking for one that's going to get me the results I want with just one swipe. The second thing I'm looking for is portability. Now, like I said before, we're traveling with only carry-on suitcases, so I'm trying to minimize the size and weight of everything being packed into my suitcase. When we talk about weight, and I mean, we're talking about razors here, guys, so it really isn't a significant amount of weight, but I like to think that every ounce counts and every inch counts when it comes to saving on packing, so this is why this is something that's important to me. The last thing I'm looking for is logistics, and that comes down to price and reliability of actually being able to get replacement heads while I'm on the road. So with these 3 things in mind, let's go ahead and jump into the first razor. My first razor, and one that I've been using for years, is my Venus Platinum. I've only had the Platinum handle for a couple of months now, but I've been using the Venus heads since I can remember. I mean, I've always switched back and forth between a number of different Venus heads for the one arm, but I've always kind of come back to the Venus heads. I've tried different razors in the past. I've just kind of always preferred these, but my Venus Platinum arm is pretty heavy. It is made out of some sort of metal. I can't pretend to know what that is, but if you compare it to some of these other razors, I mean, it's like pretty hefty by comparison, but I love what this razor can do for me. As part of the trial for the last few weeks, I've gone ahead and used this one side by side with the other razors that I'm testing. And let me give you a couple of thoughts on what I came to on this razor. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about this Venus Platinum razor is the body. Now, I really like how heavy it is, and that's really hard to say when I'm trying to minimize my weight when it comes to packing. But I really do like how this feels in my hand. Like, it doesn't feel like it's gonna snap. I'm not gonna like break the mechanism that holds on to the head. That part alone, I mean, I don't know. I've had this for years and I just kind of rely on it. I know it's a little bit of a biased opinion when I'm testing this against 2 brand new razors, but I had to throw it in there because it's what I use. Now, when it comes to the actual razor head, I love these lubricating strips. I love that it's surrounded entirely by lubricating strips all around the outside. and it doesn't seem to wear down super quickly. That's one of the things that I love about this one is you get some razor heads where the lubricating strips are just gone. And I know Venus even has some of these. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I used to use a pink one of these where it's got like two massive lubricating strips on the top and the bottom. And I just hated how fast it would wear down. But I love that about this lubricating strip is it's completely around the outside of it. It doesn't wear down super quickly, and it's got a really good lifespan on it. Now, when it comes to actual usage of this razor, I get exactly what I'm looking for. I get one swipe on my leg and it gets everything within that swipe. Now, there is the occasion where I do have to go back over it because it was a little bit patchy, but I'm honestly really happy with the results by the end of the day and even by the next day with how close the shave was. The last thing worth mentioning about this razor is I've never been worried about nicking myself around my ankle bone or any other bumpy spots. I've always been really happy and satisfied with the flexibility of this head. It's always been able to get around kind of nooks and crannies and anywhere that I need it to without ever worrying about nicking myself. The second razor I want to jump into is the Joy. I was turned on to this razor by my twin sister. She actually has been using this for a couple of months now and absolutely loves it, so I figured why not try it. Again, just like the other ones, I've been using this razor for a couple of weeks now, on and off, just kind of interspersed with the others, and I have to say I'm not the most impressed with this razor. Now, when you compare it to the other two, this razor is actually significantly smaller. You can see just kind of on the heads, it's not got as much area and space for the lubricant. The lubricating strips are tiny by comparison. I mean, if you look at it, all it is this little strip up here, whereas these other ones are completely covered around the entire razor head. So I didn't absolutely love that about this razor. It did also seem pretty patchy. Now, a couple of good things about this razor, I do love this handle, and I wish you guys could feel this because it's like that squishy handle that you got when you were a kid for your hairbrush, and it just kind of like moves around, feels really good in your hands. I'm not worried about dropping it in the shower, which is really nice. So I'd say that's a bonus. It's also super lightweight. I would put this between the Venus Platinum and the Joy razor. It's a little bit heavier than the Joy, but it still feels really good in your hand. Like you're not worried you're gonna kind of just like fling it because you didn't realize it was there. The head mechanism on it seems really good and solid. I've had it fall a couple times and it's not once popped off. I've actually had that happen with my Venus Platinum before, but this one seems to hold on pretty well. Couple things worth mentioning, both the Joy and the Venus Platinum are both made by Gillette. When it came to the actual usage of this razor, I wasn't the biggest fan of, just like I said before, the small footprint it has when actually taking a swipe on my leg. Now, the razor blades really are the same size as the razor blades on the other one, but it just felt like it wasn't doing as much. I remember having to go over a number of different swipes just to get the same spot because it was super patchy. And I don't know why it's so different from the Venus razor than it was with this, because if you look at it, aside from the lubricating strips, there's really not that much of a difference, but in usage, it was super patchy. Again, going back to the lubricating strips, I really didn't feel like my legs were super moisturized after. I can't honestly say that I noticed any razor burn, but I do prefer that silky feel being left behind after taking a swipe because it feels more comfortable. And honestly, in a pinch, if I have a good lubricating strip, I can shave without having shaving cream. Obviously, in a pinch, I wouldn't want to do that all the time, but it is something to consider when you're traveling because you don't always have access to the things that you would hope for normal hygiene. Let's talk about price when it comes to the Joy. Now, Joy is only sold in Walmarts. So you can get it for, I think I paid like $10 for this, and it came with the arm and two heads. When you go to replace the heads, I think they come for like $3 a piece and they sell them to you in a pack of 4. Now that's not super expensive when you look at the Venus and you're paying like $15 for a pack of 4. So honestly, price-wise, I would say I'd probably go with the Joy so far. But like I said before, it didn't get me the cleanest shave, and I'm not super thrilled with the lubricating strips on this one. All right, guys, the last one I want to introduce you to is Billy. Seriously, I mostly have good things to say about the Billy razor. The first thing I want to note about the Billy is I saw ads for this razor everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Like, I had maybe only seen one or two prior to starting this trial, but after deciding I was going to do it, I started looking online at different types of razors, and I swear my Instagram, different articles I was reading, like not even related to razors, were just completely inundated with Billy razor ads. Now, this one maybe isn't as practical when it comes to traveling. It kind of depends on the travel you're doing. For Ben and I, where we often come back to home base, I would say this would work for us because I can have the subscription sent here. I can pre-order a ton of extra heads to take with me, but in the long run, we do wind up coming back to home base at some point. I can get more of my subscription and then go out on the road again. For anyone who's traveling long-term, not coming back to home base, or maybe doesn't have an address to ship to, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a subscription product, but I did think it was worth mentioning because everyone travels differently. This razor is so lightweight. Like, I'm not even kidding. This is definitely the lightest of all of the ones that I've tried so far. Now, I will say because of how lightweight it is, it does seem a little cheaper than the other razors in terms of quality, but I've not had any issues with it. And the mechanism still seems just as strong as the other ones. I've dropped it a couple times. It's not broken or had any issues or had the head pop off. I love the lubricating strip on this razor. It is completely 360 around the whole thing, and guys, it feels like a pumice stone when it's dry. Like, it's kind of cool. When I first unpackaged this, I thought it didn't have a lubricating strip because it felt so weird, like it was just so rough. But as soon as it hit the water, oh my gosh, it was like silk. It just glided and it was so nice. I felt like there were spots where I didn't even need my shaving cream. In fact, there were times where I kind of ran out of shaving cream and still tried it, and no razor burn, no issues, nothing. It just felt great. I loved this razor and I would totally use it in a pinch if I didn't have shaving cream. One downside I did see with this razor, and I know it's kind of funky, but the head that fits on top of it to kind of protect you and your stuff from the blades while it's in transport doesn't fit properly. Like, I feel like it's meant to fit when the blade is not attached to the body, but when you try to stick it on like this, it like uncovers like halfway through, and so it feels like it's gonna pop off really quickly. In terms of travel, I don't love that. I prefer my Venus razor where you just take like the whole little package that the head came in and just pop it on, and it covers the whole thing. So I've never had any concerns with that. This one was a little more flimsy and just didn't seem like it was meant for the body to be attached to the head at the same time. Let's get down to the results. Which razor did I like best? Which one would I take with me traveling from here on out? And why? Now, the first thing I want to mention when we go into the results is there really was no major difference in terms of after 24 hours or 48 hours of shaving. All of them seemed to get a really close shave. Some took more swipes than others, but the end result was still the same. I didn't really notice any differences in terms of after using one, the hair grew back faster or it just didn't get as close to my skin. So that was a pretty moot point. It didn't make a difference across the board. Now, talking about usability, I really did prefer the Venus Platinum razor and the Billy when it came to how well they did after just one swipe. With the Joy, I felt like I had to swipe multiple times, and it just wasn't super conducive to just like a relaxing shave. I know I don't expect shaving to always be relaxing, but it was kind of annoying to have to go over the same spot a number of times because it just wasn't getting it every time. And I always had like a little bit of line that it missed or a little bit of a patch. And it wasn't my top pick when it came to actual usability. Now getting to weight and actual transportation, I would say the Venus Platinum probably gets ruled out right away. It is super heavy by comparison to the other ones. I know that's still just a few ounces, but it makes a difference. As much as I love that the little blade guard sticks on it so well and covers everything, it does also make it super bulky, which takes up space in my toiletries bag. So I would probably have to rule the Venus Platinum out as the least favorable when it comes to portability. Now, when it comes to comparing the Billy and the Joy, I would probably pick the Billy because it was lighter weight. Now, I know I said I didn't like how the blade cap fits on it, but compared to other aspects of the Joy, where it just didn't get a very clean shave, I would have to go with the Billy on that one. Okay, guys, the overall results for the razor trials lead to the winner being the Billy. And guys, I love this razor. Like, I was so pleasantly surprised by how much I liked this razor. I love the lubricating strips. I love how flexible it is. I love that I can choose my subscription, so I can order it and get once a month, once every 3 months, whatever the case is, whatever I need. I can skip months. It's just so flexible and handles exactly what I need. In a pinch, like I said before, with how good the lubricating strip on this is, I can even use it without shaving cream. Again, in a pinch, not gonna do that all the time, but it's a possibility, which I didn't see with any of the other ones. It's really lightweight, super easy to pack. I can get past the fact that the blade cover doesn't quite fit it right. I can find some other way around it, but honestly, if that's the only major issue I have with this razor, it's an obvious winner in my mind. So I hope you guys like this video. If any of you guys have tried your own razors specifically for travel, I'd love to know what you wound up deciding. Go ahead and comment down below what you choose. If you like this video or found this information helpful, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It really does help. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can see my future videos. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.